What up, guys? That Comic Awesome here, doing another review. Today, doing Jetsons 4 of 6. And this series has a problem that I've mentioned before, where in conception, when they were talking about this and brainstorming and whiteboarding it, it looked amazing. But then when it came time to execute, things slipped. Like, you don't have good transitions between plot points, and the dialogue can be a little dicey here and there. But the biggest hindrance for me with really liking this is the art. So the cover here looks... So the cover done by Amanda Connor and Paul Mounts. This looks great. I like it. Jane on a hoverboard. Robots. You got some like smoke coming out of their eyes. Or I guess it's frost because they're like freezer bots. But she has a great expression on her face. Her hair looks good. Kind of has a cool stance on the board. This is expectation. I pick up this book, I'm like, I want to see this in the book. I want to see something close to this. But what you get is this. And it just... I don't like the art in here. Everyone has kind of a like a 50-yard stare when they're talking. Faces when expressing, like their eyes look very dead. But let's kind of get into it. So the gist of the story so far is humanity is suffering from pretty much two fates. A meteor that is going to be coming in less than 60 hours, which is an extinction level meteor. It will wipe out humanity. And then this sea monster down below, which is eating up old present day our cities at the bottom of the ocean and causing like gravitational disturbances. Both are kind of like top secret. The world really doesn't know about them. They kind of know that there's some gravitational issues happening due to something below the surface. But as far as the meteor, a science council has tried to figure out ways of fixing, or diverting it or stopping it, and have not been able to. So they've decided to not tell anybody. So here, I kind of like this exchange between these two scientists, because you have this one, and she's saying, hey, we need to figure out as much about this creature as possible. And then this dude's like, I don't mean to be rude, but we're going to die in a couple of days, so what's the point? And, she kind of makes a little bit of an argument of, like, we might as well keep researching until the very end. Which, I mean, if somebody said, hey, you have 3 days left to live, I'm not going to be researching or learning anything. I'm going to be spending time with, my family and kind of taking in the last little bit of days. Anyway, that's my personal opinion. So again, they kind of make a little quip that, the secret, it won't stay secret for long that there's a giant meteor, and of course, Jane is telling her family, which she's not supposed to do. In this series, Jane is a genius level scientist because why not? Because apparently being a housewife is not a respectable profession in this world. So they were like, we don't want her to just be a housewife. She's going to be smarter than George, and she's going to do this, which she was always smarter than George. The Jetsons always had that classic dynamic where it was like the mom was kind of the brains of the operation and the dad was, the bumbling idiot. But that's the way sitcoms work. This is not kind of a sitcom-y thing. This to me reads more like a drama than anything, because Jane is smart. George is also smart. He has a little bit of goofiness to him, but it's not like the cartoon. Elroy, of course, is like a boy genius, and Judy, I don't know what Judy is. They really don't touch on her too much, other than like, I think she's a fashion designer, maybe. And then, you got Astro. So she breaks news to her family that they're going to die in 3 days. And of course, so she's looking this way. And again, this is... the eyes are just so... buh. So she's looking towards us and doesn't notice that there's another person standing in the room right there. So this is Lake, and she's pretty much like, hey, look, I'm going to tell people you can't keep this. All the Jetsons are pretty much in agreement, like, hey, look, we can't keep this from people. It's going to cause a panic, but they deserve to know. So they decide not to stop her or anything. And then it comes out that George is able now to read minds. And this is where I was like, really? Like, is this a necessary plot point? Unless it has some sort of payoff, all this is a cheap twist or whatever. So it comes out that, Jane sits here and she's like, it's my fault. I shouldn't have told you guys. And then George is like, well, you didn't. I found out because I read your mind. I think I read your mind. Which still doesn't make sense because Jane explains it to her family right here. George isn't reading her mind as she says these word bubbles. So whether he read her mind previously, she still spilled the beans to everybody. And again, this is where you kind of get that disconnected cue card where George makes reference to things that's not brought up forever. I mean, this dialogue almost doesn't make any sense. Kids, the planet faces challenges, has faced challenges before, and there's a good chance we can come up with a solution if we stick together. Let's put the party on hold for a bit and give me and your mom some time alone. So, in this whole issue, there was no mention of a party. So I'm thinking, when I first read this dialogue box, I was like, it has to be like they're going to have like an end of the world party. But then I remembered 2 months ago, during one of the previous issues, it's George's birthday, and he's referring to his birthday party. So, again, this is kind of going a little long. There's just, again, like a 1,000-yard stare happening here. There's one of those ink monsters on a ship in the that they brought back with them, and it's growing. I kind of want to go this art too. So if this line is the ground, where are you walking from, and how are you hovering? And same here, your feet are not on the ground, and this guy is just like in the air. Like everyone's kind of like in a weird motion. No one's just like standing, and there's no ground. Anyway, so they try and preserve it. It doesn't work. It falls back into the water and gets absorbed. Now, I will say about the art, the landscaping or this like creature does look cool, but people not so much. Then this was probably the best part. So you have to get to the staple. You get a really nice kind of back and forth between Mr. Spacely and George. And he kind of talks about like, George, you're my best friend. He's like, the life path that I chose didn't lead me to be able to have a wife and kids and stuff like that. He's like, I just became like kind of rich, through determination, and it caused me to be, shut everybody out. And he's like, George is kind of doing the nice guy thing, and he's like, look, he's like, you have a family, Spacely Sprockets is your family. He's like, how about this? You're going to be alone. Why not come be with my family so you're not alone? Again, good guy. And he's like, hey, me being pretty much the richest person on the planet has afforded me some luxuries. So I've built this spaceship. And this spaceship can hold 7 people. And if you look at the size, that spaceship should be able to hold more than 7 people. But, 7 people in, like, these stasis pods. So George is like, well, who are you taking with you? And he's like, I got the couple that helped me build it and my assistant. He's like, other than that, I have 3 pods left, and I want you and your family to come with me. And George is like, well, there's 4 of us, so that's a problem. And he's like, well, that's the hard choice that you have to make. Bring me your decision in 24 hours. And so then you get into another little bit of a cue card thing. It's like this punk rock girl who was introduced in issue 1, and I don't think referred to again since, is George's assistant. And she's kind of like, it's going to suck. I was hoping to learn from you. Oh well. Hit me up if you want to talk. Bye. And it's just like, okay, like, who are you? Why do I care about you? I don't. Again, 3 pages in this book I think were really good. The rest were about mediocre. This whole series has been, like, I would say below average. And I give it below average because inconsistent art and bad plot transitions have really hampered it. But yeah, so that's my thoughts on this. Subscribe over here, watch some more videos. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, and I will see you next time.